Agama believes that most of the men in the world today are not living their lives in line with what it truly means to be a man. Agama also believes that all of us as men have the potential for greatness, but that most of us are creating more suffering for ourselves and the world because we're not living up to our potential for greatness. They believe that society gives us really unhealthy views of what it means to be a man. And they believe that a lot of men out there in the world have become totally over-feminized in their search for their masculinity and their purpose in the world. So, Agama's men's Vira training is part of their answer to what they see as a really big problem in the world. It's a training that they've come up with to help men cultivate their masculinity through tantric practice so that they can live up to their full potential and integrate their sexuality and reach their desires and dreams with integrity and compassion and power. And that sounds pretty good, right? I took this training back in January, a few months ago, and the training overall was good. And there were some not so great parts too, and there were some things that I wish I had known up front. So that's why I'm here today to share this video with you. So hopefully it can help you in some way if maybe you're considering going out there to take this course, or if you just want to know what sorts of courses are out there like this. And my name is Taylor, and I'm based right now in Asheville, North Carolina. Obviously, I'm not in Thailand anymore. I'm in the beautiful mountains of Asheville. The men's Vira training is more or less a retreat. Even though you're not staying on site, they ask you to not schedule anything else during that time, so you can be fully present for all the exercises and activities that basically will take from the morning to the night. On the first day, when you show up, they're going to ask you to agree to a set of agreements. And one of those agreements is that you agree to not share the specifics of what you do in that program with anybody who hasn't done it before. And they even go as far as to say that you will incur bad karma and bad consequences in your life if you do share this stuff. And one, I don't believe that humans can be the dispensers of karma or the judge of karma. And two, I think this is really useful stuff for people to know about. And so I'm not going to share the specifics of the exercises and practices that we did, but I am going to share with you the overall essence of what we did and a lot of things we didn't do that I think would have been helpful in this scenario. In the men's Vira training, one of the main things they work with is their tantric map of masculinity. The first day is a welcome day, an introductory day to give you ideas of what to expect, and the next 7 days are spent each focusing on one area of that tantric map of your personality. So for example, one day was focused on our sense of security and stability and our feelings of groundedness in the world. Another day was focused on our creativity and our sensuality and our ability to be seductive and charismatic. And another day was focused on our personal power, our ability to make stuff happen in the world. And there was a day focused on our heart and the ability to give and receive love. There was another day focused on seeing the divine in everything around us. And a day just focused on pure presence, pure awareness, pure consciousness, the divinity in everything. And we explored all these different energies through practical exercises, through yoga asana, which means yoga poses, and through lecture every day. Their Tantric personality map is based on the chakra system. And I waited until now to use the word chakras because in the past I've had conflicting beliefs about chakras. And I know that a lot of other people have too, and even the word itself can bring up skepticism and questions about New Age culture and New Age spirituality and that sort of a thing. And I'm here to say that I can feel them in my body now in a new way that's grounded, that's practical, that is rooted in the real world with exercises that I can do anywhere. Even right now as I'm filming this video, I'm using some practices that I learned in the men's Vira training that relate to the chakras. So for example, one of the areas of my life that I really wanted to focus some of my energy on was my feeling of personal power, rooted right here in the belly. My ability to make stuff happen in the world. And this is associated in the Tantric personality map with the solar plexus chakra. And if you've been involved with Qigong or anything in the Taoist sexuality system, you'll know this area as the Dan Tian. It's another energy center focused on personal power and rootedness in the world. So now I have a set of tools and practices that I can use anywhere in the world to focus on this energy. And maybe even more importantly, I now have familiarity with what that particular flavor of energy feels like. That's one thing I really loved about this training, is that it helped me tune into the subtle energies in my body and to feel into which of those are stronger and which of those are weaker. There's the energy of stability, there's the energy of power, there's the energy of seduction and creativity, and there's the energy of divinity through everything. And all of that is available right now in this moment. You just have to tune into it. I'm grateful that now at least I have a map and a toolbox of tools to move forward in the world and work on these areas of myself that need work, and to strengthen the areas of myself that are already strong, to put more energy there, to become a more integrated version of who I already am. Here are a few other things I really liked about the training itself. The first one of those is that gathering with a group of men to look into our masculinity, to cultivate our masculinity together for 8 days was amazing. That's rare in today's world, and I wish that there was more of that happening. We could have even just sat as a group and not spoken to each other for 8 days, but still to be in that field of just men, that's good. And if you haven't experienced that before, I highly recommend it. I'm sure there's some sort of men's group near you, or there's a men's workshop you can go to. It's awesome. Definitely recommend that experience. The second thing in this list of other things that I loved about the training was that I loved diving more deeply into their system of yoga, their system of asana. I've been practicing yoga for about 10 years, and most of that time has been focused on more flow styles like vinyasa. And in Agama's system, in their yoga poses, you will connect with different types of energy and move them through your body. So it's more than just a yoga pose. It's an actual energetic practice while you're holding the pose. And then when you come out of the pose, you will spend a moment integrating and putting your awareness on how you feel in your body, tuning into the subtle energies that you cultivated during that pose. It really helped me appreciate the power of one single yoga pose and how much of an impact one pose can have on my body and my mind and my spirit in any given moment. That was awesome. The third part is a little bit more esoteric, but here goes. So if you were to take each of the chakras and divide them in half, one half being the more receptive side and the other half being the more emissive side, this training focused primarily on the more emissive side of things, the more outwardly focused, make stuff happen in the world side of things. And that was awesome in many ways, because those are elements of my personality that I really wanted to work on. And I think there was a lost opportunity there too, because there wasn't a focus on being able to receive and being more receptive in the world. And that didn't really seem to fit in with their idea so much of what it means to be a man and their idea of masculinity. Which brings me to the challenging parts of this retreat. The Vira training website talks about the importance of men cultivating deep friendships and relationships with other men. And it's Agama's philosophy that men do that through accomplishing goals together, through accomplishing tasks together with other men. And yes, that's true, and I've experienced that from being a part of a bunch of different sports teams and working on a lot of different projects with men. And there's also another way to cultivate deep relationships with other men that has nothing to do with accomplishing goals at all. It has to do with being able to be vulnerable with each other, being able to cry with each other, being able to get mad with each other, being able to just be totally present with each other with whatever is real in the moment. Nothing to do with accomplishing goals. And I think Agama really missed the mark in this part, because there was no one-on-one connection that was facilitated between men. There was no small group sharing. There were no small group processes around looking at our challenging areas, looking at our shadow, looking at our heart's desires, nothing like that. It was just lecture and then larger group activities that was just outwardly focused. And that is I was disappointed with that. And I think that they could really do better in that department. And I had the fear that some people who have not done other sorts of growth-oriented work in the world might come away with this idea of what it means to be a man that I think is flawed. It's not the whole picture. And so that's my main feedback for the Agama course, is like, there's a whole other half of what it means to be a man, in my opinion, that they didn't focus on. I think that is creating a recipe for spiritual bypassing. You know, if you just focus on the really emissive, like, be a man, kind of exude your heart, like shine outward into the world, you can miss a lot of stuff. And yeah, I think that's really important. Another challenge of the whole experience was how I perceived the way Agama views women. And this is an area of contention even among the people at Agama. Agama says that men and women are equal, and that's very nice sounding, and it's not the entire picture. What they really mean when they say that is that men and women are equal if they stick to their specific roles as men and women in the world. And Agama has very opinionated beliefs about what those specific roles are. So as long as you fit into those roles, then men and women are equal. But I didn't agree with all of their ideas of what that means, and lots of people don't. But I'll leave that to you to decide if you go there. Also, a side note, if you're gay or trans, this is not the place to come, because they are not inclusive of that experience at all. At all. That's pretty much the end of story on that. Another downside is that they didn't really talk so much about ejaculation control. And they said, if you want to learn about that, then take the Essence of Tantra course. And sure, yeah, I think that's also a great option. But I think it would have been helpful to have been able to dive into that subject matter with a group of just men. Because there's a lot of shame and a lot of vulnerability that comes up around ejaculating more quickly than you would like. And most people who experience that will never talk about it with anybody else. Not to worry though, I will be making plenty of videos about that soon, because it's something that I have struggled with in my life, and it's something that has also created some of the most amazing sexual experiences I've ever had, was the ability to be able to have orgasms that were non-ejaculatory. I took the men's Vira training at the same time as my girlfriend Luna was taking the complete femininity training, and that is Agama's training for women. Because we were spending so much time apart and focusing so much on cultivating masculinity and cultivating femininity, it created a huge polarity between us, and the sex that we were having was incredible. And just a side note, as part of the men's Vira training, you agreed to not ejaculate for 8 days. So that energy was building too. And yeah, it was just a really cool experience. And if you're considering coming here with your partner, I would say only do it if you both individually want to do your own respective programs. Like if one person wants the two of you to do it for the relationship, I don't see how that's gonna go so well. But if you both wanna do it, then I think it can be awesome. Ultimately, I really enjoyed this training, and I got a lot out of it. It wasn't everything that I had hoped it would be. It was different, and that's okay. Would I recommend this training? I don't know. I would recommend it to some people, and I wouldn't recommend it to others. And who am I to say what your experience would be, you know? Even if you didn't really like the program, maybe you would have an experience in the program that would change your life for the better. So ultimately, you know, you need to just tune into yourself to see if that's something you would want to do. Like, look at their website, listen to this review, try to find a couple other reviews out there and see if this training feels aligned with who you are now, but more importantly, who you want to become in the world. If you have any questions for me about my time there or my experience at Agama or about any of this material in general, I would love to hear from you. You can leave a comment underneath this video, or you can reach out to me directly, and I'll put some links as to how to do that underneath this video. And yeah, so grateful to be able to share this time with you. Hope you have an awesome day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Cheers.